Hi, everyone.
We are not starting a podcast. This might just be a one-off thing, but we have been kindly approached to interview Seamus McGarvey, who is the cinematographer of Die My Love, a film by Lynne Ramsay starring Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. And it would already be released by the time that this interview is out. And it's a film about Jennifer Lawrence's character, Grace, having to experience postpartum depression. And that's kind of the brief gist of the film. And I had a very good conversation with Seamus about his creative decisions in making the film and how it was working with Lynn, Jennifer, and Robert, and a very loud dog and a baby as well. And the visuals of the film and his decisions with the lenses and filters. It was a very interesting conversation. And he also talked about his body of work and how it is to be a cinematographer. And yeah, so it was great for the nerdy side of me because I, never got to talk to a cinematographer about the work that they do and the process behind it. So it was very interesting. And I hope it would be interesting for anybody that's listening as well. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say to introduce it. And yeah, maybe we might have more of this in the future. I don't know. But for now, enjoy this one. Yeah. But one of the main things I wanted to ask was something that stuck out to me was the 4:3 ratio. Because the minute I watched the film, that sort of stuck out to me, and I just wanted to ask what the creative decision was behind that. And was it something that Lynn decided or something that you decided, and then how you guys worked together on that one?
Yeah. Well, deciding to shoot Die My Love on the 4:3 aspect ratio was a decision that Lynn and I arrived at together. It was really, in preparation is very important in filmmaking.
Yeah.
So it was something that, in discussing the themes of the film, that we realized that it would help the claustrophobia of the film, especially claustrophobia in the midst of this vast landscape where we were shooting. That sort of typically you would shoot those sort of landscapes, the exteriors, in widescreen and even in CinemaScope. But we also wanted to frame the house in a way that created these boxy frames within frames, and it worked out perfectly for the production designer Tim Grimes. Found this amazing house that he made these frames within frames and pattern upon pattern with the wallpapers. So it was really lovely way to make for films, because actually in the Academy ratio of 1:133, you've actually got more headroom on a cinema screen than the widescreen format. So that sort of worked compositionally for us in terms of framing things that were above people's heads or to the right or left of people's heads. It was that was really interesting, and it also created this kind of corralment or restriction of the landscape. We weren't lulled or lured into luxuriating in vista. It was all about what was in Grace's head, the Jen Lawrence's character. It was all about her kind of the limiting of her scope. It's really lovely because Lynne Ramsay, the director, started off in cinematography. So these conversations, that's right. So it comes quite naturally to her, those discussions that are photographic, cinematographic. She knows her lenses. She knows all about film stocks. She studied that before she became a director. So it's nice to have that photographic rapport at the
Mm.
outset, and that also sort of extended into the choice of film stocks and everything on the day to day shooting of the film.
Yeah, because I think one of something that I really liked about the film was also how it started with the opening shot and how you sort of there was this long static shot where you were able to see through the whole house and you see them moving in. Were there any like
Yeah.
specific choices that you made with the cinematography that maybe from what you mentioned with production designer as well to sort of create this sense of like claustrophobia or entrapment, making the house because the house sort of felt like it was its own character in a way.
And that was the stasis of the camera
Uh-huh.
was kind of meant in that sense because we wanted not to start with an exterior shot of the house, like
Yeah.
here we are, here's the house. We wanted the camera, the audience, to be inside the house, like the house was looking, and then suddenly they appear outside and enter the house. But the camera is like the kind of the soul of
Mm,
the house, and almost like a phantasmagorical
mm,
presence of the place itself. And Lynn and I are both very interested in architectural space and
mm,
how space and light feed into character and movement through a house. There are real corollaries between architecture
yeah.
um, and cinema.
Uh-huh.
So I love that. So we wanted something that was apparently um, sort of stepped out of being a protagonist, but ultimately
Yeah.
became a protagonist. It was a spectral, ghostly presence of the camera. And Lynn is very good at the
Mm,
synthesis of image and sound. So in that opening static shot that goes on, you gradually hear rats upstairs, you hear their voices either from behind you or in front. It's like
yeah.
you want to
Mm,
turn left or right. You want cinema to give you the luxury of moving away from just this rectitude of a frame,
mm-hmm.
but you can't. So that juxtaposition, sudden jump to the punk track that kicks in directly after with Jennifer and Rob
Mm,
writhing around on the floor and dancing and having fun is is something that is one of Lynn's fortes is the
yeah.
use of sound with picture.
Yes, something that really struck me was the sound design as well in that scene where you know that they're in the house, but you don't see them. And then I thought that was very interesting in terms of how was it actually working with the sound designer on that? Like, do you have a conversation while you were filming, or was it sort of done in post?
No, I mean, Lynn works very closely and has done on all her films, I think, with Paul Davies, who's a
Ah,
genius sound designer,
yeah,
and not the sound recordist. He does the sound in mixing afterwards,
I see.
sound design,
Mm,
um, and he's really brilliant. But Lynn and I was aware of what Lynn was planning,
uh-huh.
but I don't really get involved. I don't get involved in editing or the post production beyond the grading, the coloring of the
Mm,
film, which Adam Inglis from Harbour was the colorist. And
ah,
we had the rushes every day. We had a dailies colorist um, called Darren Ray from CineLab in London. All the rushes were sent from Canada, where we shot in Calgary, back to London every day. So, which was important because there aren't many labs that can process
mhm.
Ektachrome.
Oh, it's
So
Chrome. Oh, that's so cool.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we shot on Ektachrome film for the most part. I mean, we also shot negative for the night stuff, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's not night; it's obviously day for night.
Mm,
But we used for the night interiors and for the day for night
mhm.
photography, we used negative that was heavily filtered, and we used all these sort of crazy smoked up
Oh,
candle smoked filters that darkened the skies. It was very hand knitted. The film. We didn't leave a lot to post production. It's sort of like we
oh
birthed
wow.
it
Yeah.
into the film literally, and
Yeah.
painted out the bits that we wanted to see, but let the smoke filter do the rest and make it night.
Well, yeah, because I actually wanted to ask about the colors as well. I really like the colors in the film, especially
Mm.
for the night scenes, because they all felt really surreal and dreamy. So that was with the filters, was it? Or was there like something that
It
you?
was,
Yeah.
yeah, like we shot that on negative mostly.
Uh-huh.
We had a lot, like a look, a sort of
Yeah.
cyanotype look. We were heavily influenced by Edward Steichen and
Yeah.
the pictorialist photographers of turn of the century and the 20s that had this process called cyanotype.
Oh
So
yeah.
that wash
Mm.
of moonlight that were shot by day, these images, but they have this dreamscape imagery, as you say.
I thought they were all shot at night, so they were shot in the day and just
Yes,
faded.
and that
Huh.
sort of was leaning into the
Oh,
discussions about motherhood and about
yeah.
how when you're kind of slightly unhinged, if you're a parent, a young parent,
Yeah.
there is that sense that days and nights meld and kind of fold into each other. They kind of superimpose. So we wanted the night scenes not to feel like Hollywood night. We
Yeah.
wanted it to feel like a kind of a fever dream of, is this
Uh-huh.
day or is it night, or it's just simply it is weird and strange. And the ectochrome was part of that as well, because its
Yeah.
color
Yeah.
is far from true and real. It's very beautiful, I think,
Mm.
the way that ectochrome registers the real in a kind of completely askew way. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, it doesn't look like what you're looking at. When you get the dailies back, you go, oh my God, that does not look like what we were looking at. Uh, but I love that about it because it
Yeah.
sort of coalesces with uh, Grace's unhingedness and increasing
Yeah.
sort of mental health, wavering.
There was also some scenes that where there were mirrors placed around and a lot of like
Yeah,
reflections. What was the conversation around that? What was the reason for them?
I love mirrors, but I like it because they kind of fracture
Hmm.
the normal easy shot to digest. So
Yeah.
they make something cubist and kaleidoscopic.
Yeah.
So it was a way of doing that. You're just seeing different perspectives in the same
Mhm.
frame, and when Grace is doing up Pam's hair, Sissy SpaceX character's hair,
That was the one I
and
was. Yeah.
there's basically four or five images, in the one frame. That
Yeah.
was fun to do that, and just to mess with you know,
Yeah.
ways of seeing that, but it basically means that there's no clear sighted image that's
Uh-huh.
digestible. It's a myriad.
Were there any other details with the cinematography that maybe I didn't catch upon first watch? Like, were there any creative decisions you made to make it seem a little bit more interesting or to represent Grace's like state of mind in the film?
Yes, I mean, sometimes we use these P vintage Panavision vintage lenses. They're ultra speed lenses, but they're older glass. So we use them predominantly, and they have a particular quality, I suppose, that
Mm-hmm.
adds opalescence to the highlights, and
Mm.
they're quite beautiful lenses.
Mm.
I normally shoot in the sharpest lenses I can possibly shoot with, and filter things with camera filters rather than fancy glass or vintage glass. Sometimes you get uh, surprises that you don't want with vintage glass. But we also use this. my favorite lenses, which are, I've got two of them. What they're called Petzval, and one is a 58 millimeter, and the other one is an 85 millimeter Petzval. They're old lenses that have been rehoused in modern houses, so the
Mm.
focus puller can actually pull focus with them. But they're tiny little jewels to begin with of lenses. But the effect of them
Yeah.
was very useful in depicting Grace's inner mind, because the effect of them effectively is that the bouquet, the out of focus parts around a portrait, they're portrait lenses. But if
Yeah.
you shoot Jen against like trees out of focus in the background,
Hmm.
the they're out of focus. There's a swirling bouquet around her head, and that's a really kind of like wordless way of describing the inner machinations of her mind,
Hmm.
And so that was one thing we did.
Oh,
The
cool.
day for night too.
Yeah.
Um, I suppose there were a few other things that we did that sort of felt like they were at
Uh,
odds with how you would normally shoot a film. But yeah, it was mostly those things. It was the choice of film stock. It was
yeah.
the aspect ratio.
Yeah.
It was those lenses. We had another lens that we used was a 50 mil.
Yeah.
Um, it was a 50 mil dream lens that has a
Mm.
very shallow depth of field. So
Hmm.
that was occasionally brought to bear on the film too.
One scene that I wanted to ask, which I think might have been brought up quite a bit, which was the one where Jen Lawrence had breast milk dripping onto the paper that was mixing with the ink, and it sort of transitioned to the night sky, which I felt
Yeah.
was a very considered decision. So was that sort of decided before you started filming, and how you got to that? Yeah.
That was just an idea that Lynn had. She
Yeah.
wrote it in the script,
Oh, cool.
and it was
Yeah.
just, she's so visual. She's such
Yeah.
a
Mm.
poet of cinema, Lynn. That was just an idea that she had, and she's a mom herself.
Mm.
So it was a lovely idea that Grace's breast milk would
Yeah.
meld with the ink and create this constellation like a universe.
Uh-huh.
So that's why the telescope scene came in as well. So
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite scenes as well. I really. I think that really worked on a thematic and a poetic level.
Yeah, I thought it was really seamless. I thought it was really beautiful as well with the colors. Yeah. Were there also like any happy accidents while you were trying to get a shot in the film, or was everything sort of like planned out?
No, I mean
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing actually
Uh-huh.
about making films is that it's you can plan all you like
Yeah.
and you can devise shot lists so the cows come home and
Mm.
you can do all this wonderful pre-planning, but ultimately happenstance and accident are really important,
Mm.
and sometimes you just come on little happy accidents unexpectedly. And one of those ones was there was a scene we shot by a kind of a lakeside when
Yeah.
he's Jackson and Grace are lying by the water, and opening the shot, we'd been shooting a scene previously where I had a lot of filters stacked in front of the
Mm.
camera, and we're shooting on film, obviously. But anyway, we had neutral density filters, polarizer, some
Mhm.
diffusion,
Mm.
and when we set up this wide shot, I hadn't the time to select the filters. We were just like the camera assistant and I were setting up the camera,
Yeah.
and we were looking towards a sort of silvery, sparkly backlit water,
I
and
think
with
I know
all
the
these
spot.
people
Yeah.
sitting.
Uh,
And when I closed the matte box, suddenly there was this sort of refractions all happening within the thing, and Lynn was like,
I love
"What
it.
did
Yeah.
you just do there?" I was like, "I have no idea, but." it's wonderful, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
And she said, yes, that's just, don't change a thing. Let's just shoot it like this. And it was just all the bounce of filters and double imagery and superimposition of the water into people. So the people were scintillating
Mm.
with the reflections in the shadow and the silhouette. And it just looked really, really interesting. And it also felt like maybe a psychic POV
Yeah.
of the kind of the altering of reality, and it was just that it was the hinge of the film when all was going nuts in Grace's head.
Yeah. I love that shot. I actually did write it down in my notes. I was like shot at the beach. And what was it working
Beautiful.
with? Yeah, what was it working with Jen and Robert as well? Because they get quite active in some scenes. So was it improvised, or do you actually have to like
Yeah,
choreograph some of the
yeah.
movements?
No,
Yeah,
it was a lot of improvisation, like guided by our ringmaster,
yeah,
Lynn. But they also sort of went free range as
yeah.
well. It was like the free range actors, and I like it for the way that they approach it. They're very brave performers,
Mm-hmm.
and when you work with actors of that kind of
Mm.
stature, you're in for a real treat because you just have to sit back, let the camera take a
Yeah.
back seat, and
Mm.
just photograph it. It's like wildlife photography.
Mm.
Sometimes you just have to
Mm.
sit back, and I had this brilliant camera operator called Chris Chow, who did a lot of steady cam, and he also he was the A camera operator, and he was brilliant with handheld as well. So he was just really sensitive to the kind of the unexpected uh, nature and of their performances and where they went in the room. I lit the rooms in a way that the actors could basically move everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was shooting on Ektachrome 100 ASA, so it's very, very slow stocks. You need a lot of light to
Uh-huh.
expose it.
Yeah.
Because in digital now, you can, in digital films, you hardly need any light,
Yeah.
at least at such a low level. So
Yeah.
I needed to pump a lot of 18K HMIs through that room in order to get a
Um,
basic exposure. So that affected the light and the direction of the light and made me
yeah.
light in a way that I haven't lit before. Like that was kind
Mm-hmm.
of like bang and direct.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the actors had the rooms were lit by the big light coming through the window and the bounce off the walls. So
Mm.
we could point the camera wherever they went
Mm.
and go around them and just accept that that was what the light
Mm.
does. So, I found tremendous freedom in doing that actually, because normally I
Very
set
cool.
up a shot and
Mm.
you
Mm.
set it up and you light it beautifully, you hope, and then
Yeah.
but this was just like, no, we're just gonna live in a room that feels lived in
Yeah.
and that the light is coming through the window, which it was.
How is it working with the dog and the baby as well, actually? That was a question I wanted to ask. Because David must have
Yes.
been unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, children and animals,
Uh-huh.
I mean, you can't hope for a more volatile combination of
Yeah.
actorly elements than that.
Uh-huh.
But the weird thing was we had twins for the baby. That was they were twins, two little girls
Uh-huh.
actually. I know that they play a boy,
Yeah.
but and the animals are trained. I mean, supposedly, but we
Mm.
had an animal handler, animal trainer.
Yeah.
So that little dog was trained to pull the
Oh, see.
all the stuff off the table
Uh-huh.
and to bark on cue. I mean, it
Oh,
was trained to just bark and bark and bark and bark and bark, which is when you hear a dog barking all day long, it really does send you like I felt like Grace by the end of the day because I was just like, can the dog just stop barking?
yeah, the dog
And
club. very annoying just from watching the film.
Yeah, but the babies were absolutely sweet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just again,
Mm.
I love a I love a quiet set. I like a sacred set where,
Hmm.
the quiet is respected. And that
Yeah.
happens a lot when you shoot on film,
Mm.
because on digital you there's less discipline, but on
Mhm.
film it's like there is a lot of hullabaloo as you're setting up shots, but then suddenly when you have to shoot the film it's like, okay, silence, and there's a sort of sanctity to knowing that this is film going through the camera. The take is probably going to be a few minutes long. It's really expensive to shoot and process, so we're
Mm.
not going to do 50 takes, and we're not going to let the camera run for 40 minutes, which sometimes happens on digital.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was really good for the baby,
Yeah.
because we knew that the baby has, limited attention span, and so we sort of respected
Mm.
the fact that you're working with a kid and a little child, a newborn child. And the baby del- had performance because we were silent, because we filmed on longer lenses
Yeah.
away from the baby. We were very careful about being quiet around the
Mhm.
child. And Jennifer and
Mm.
Rob were incredible with the kid. They're both parents,
Yeah.
so they just treated the kid as their own, and the kid's mom and dad were there throughout. So there was this sort of really lovely familial atmosphere, and a sense of quietude and calmness while we were shooting.
I've heard Jennifer was also pregnant during shooting. Was that?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, she was 5 months pregnant, so which fitted really well for the post-pregnancy
yeah.
imagery, like
Mm.
after she'd given birth, there was obviously that residual
Mm.
bump, and mum, uh, post-delivery baby
Oh,
body.
yeah.
And she was very comfortable with that, and that was amazing to see. We did shots with her by the mirror where
Mm.
I was tilting the camera around her as she
Mhm.
was looking at her body in the mirror.
Mm.
And it was, those are, I think, some of the most true shots I've ever shot of an actor
Mm.
who's like probably the most famous actress in the world right now. And there she is at home
Yeah.
with herself, and the way it's photographed. And similarly, the same extends to
Yeah.
the lovemaking at the top of the wild dancing and lovemaking that takes place at the opening of the
Mm.
film.
Mhm.
Just I love when actors have the safety in knowing that they can just kind of be and act a character with total abandon
Mhm.
and fearlessness.
It also shows, I guess, the feeling of security within the set as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, I also wanted to get into the films that you've shot as well, outside of Damn I Love, like the ones that, because I had a look at the films you've done, Nocturnal Animals, Atonement, and A Karenina, which are all films that I love. So I just wanted to ask, like,
Oh, thank
how you
you.
approach each project, and was there one that was particularly special for you?
Well, every film is special,
Yeah,
and I just love what I do because
yeah,
it's really really exciting, and it's lovely to work with different directors, and it's lovely to be a different cinematographer with every single film
yeah.
I get a chance to work on. It's
Mhm.
a complete privilege to shoot films, and it's really exciting. Like,
Mm.
I mean, I can't even, if I'm driving down the road, I nearly crash the car because I'm like, oh my God, they're making a movie. I just love seeing, films being made, and I love being on a film set
Mhm.
myself because it's
Mm.
really exciting to look through a camera and know that you're the first person to see this before hopefully millions will see it.
Yeah.
So I think that the disparate films, people have said to me, "Oh God, everything you do is there's no particular style that you have. It just everything looks
Mm-hmm.
different film to film.
Mm.
And I said to them, well, I'm a different cinematographer with every director I work with because the
Yeah.
scripts are all different and the directors make me a different cinematographer. I'm working with Greta Gerwig at the minute, and
Oh yeah.
she's made me into a different cinematographer because of her sensibilities
Yeah.
and fusing with mine.
Uh-huh.
And we just look at things differently because you're
Yeah.
in service of their script, but
Yeah.
also I'm drawing upon my own experience, but also being live to
Mm.
the moment and whatever actors, whatever story we're trying to tell at that moment.
Mm.
Um, and that's quite exciting because it's that sort of 1 + 1 = 3
Mm.
idea of the embellishment of collaboration.
Well, they're all really beautiful films. I was looking through the list and I love them all.
There's some terrible ones in there too, I've got to say. Yeah.
Do you think?
Oh God, yeah. No, there's a couple that I would like to get off of IMDb, but no, I'm even the ones that are not so great. I had great fun doing
Uh-huh.
and working on because
Yeah.
it's a great job. I mean, for
Yeah.
any filmmaker to get the opportunity to work in what you love
Mm.
is just such an honor. I love it.
And I'm guessing like with every film you sort of learn a little bit of like how to shoot it differently as well. I'm guessing with Die My Love it was because it was so sort of catered towards Lynn's vision of like a mother having postpartum depression. It was probably all
Yeah.
catered towards that, and then you sort of found out your filters and everything based on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
she had an idea of it, but Lynn actually thinks of it as a comedy,
Oh.
which it is funny in parts, but
Yeah.
it's really fucking heavy. And I mean, I didn't think that we were making a comedy, but Lynn does.
Yeah. I didn't
Uh,
see the comedy.
uh, no, there are comedic elements certainly, and when I saw the
Yeah.
screening, actually,
Mm.
Greta did a screening of the film at the weekend, and it was
Oh,
lovely to see it in a
uh-huh.
different environment with
Mm.
my friends who I'm working with on this film,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but my new one. But
Mm.
it was just lovely. I saw it in a different light. I saw the film in a
Mm.
different light, and actually, I did see the comedic elements in
Mm.
there coming through, which I hadn't before,
Uh-huh.
because the shoot was quite hard and it was quite tense. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't really absorb the comedy when we were filming.
How is the project now with Greta? Are you able to share anything about it? Or
I, I, I would love to, Ian, but
yeah,
I can't. I'm not allowed. I'm under these very strict NTAs. It's terrible, but
that's
I
fair.
can't say anything about it, sadly.
Yeah, but
But
any
all I can say is
yeah.
she's wonderful, wonderful director. But everybody who's ever worked with her knows that, and her films are testament to how brilliant she is.
I feel like you sort of feel Greta through her films. I feel like her films are very specific to her.
Yeah,
Well, I'm excited to see that. Yeah. Any other projects that you are working on that you want to share, or anything that's coming up?
I'm about to start when I finish this one I'm on now.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a film with Lorna Tucker,
Uh-huh.
and it's based on her book Bear,
Yeah.
Bare,
Uh,
and that was a semi-autobiographical
uh-huh.
book, which she's going to make into a feature film. So
Mm,
that happens next year in
mm,
late spring into summer. And I'm very excited by that. It's a
mm.
family affair because we're married, Lorna and I. So
Oh,
it's going to be a lot of fun devising that, and we've got a lot of time. I mean, we talk about it every night about what we're planning on doing. But it's a very low budget film, but
right.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be an exciting one to do.
That must be so exciting to work with your wife on a film. Have you worked on a film with her before?
Yes, yes. I shot a documentary for her
Yeah.
about the pianist Yu Wang,
Uh-huh.
and I did a short film called Shelter,
Yeah.
and we've done lots of photographs together.
Oh,
And yeah, it's just a wonderful creative excitement when we get a camera out and go off and go on photographic safari, whether it's for stills or
oh,
film or whatever.
oh.
I just love what I do, so it's
Mm,
it's it's really nice. And she's made like lots of documentaries like
mm,
that have been well received,
mhm,
and now she's moving into fiction.
mm.
So it's an exciting phase in her life.
I love hearing you talk about cinematography after you've done it for so long. I love how that you still love to do it, and
Oh
the way
God, well,
yeah.
it's the best job in the world. If anybody's listening who's interested in doing it, all I can tell you is if you love photography, if you love art, and you
Mm-hmm.
think that cinematography and telling stories with a camera
Mm,
in features, in documentaries, in anything is what you want to do, you will not be disappointed
mm,
if you can bring something you're enthusiastic about, if you can bring your eyeball and brain and heart to
mm-hmm,
make something
mm,
special or more special with your eye. There's
yeah.
no greater job.
How will you sort of give advice if someone wants to start out in cinematography, you think?
Well, I would say, making films is can be quite expensive. Less
Yeah.
so now with digital cameras that you can shoot.
Yeah.
I've been shooting a lot with the S7, Sony S7 or the Canon cameras. So even my iPhone, I shoot a lot with my iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
and Lynn and I did some tests for Dime I Love using the iPhone, just little sketches.
Mm.
And Lorna Tucker and I made three short films with an iPhone. So I would say just keep on looking.
Yeah.
It's a really it's good have to do cinematic Pilates. That's what I call it when you just are looking all the time and using the camera and exercising with the camera and looking at things and seeing what inspires you as you walk down the street. Look at how light dapples through trees. Look at
Mm,
how colors juxtapose in a
mm,
snowy day. Look how the shadows turn lilac when the sunlight is orange. Look at the face of somebody you are interested by or love. Look at light and shade in all its manifestations,
mm-hmm.
and just it's basically like gigging, like the Beatles when they were in Hamburg and just like
Yeah.
playing guitar fucking 4 or 5 times a day, gigs a day.
Uh-huh.
Exercise your eyeball, brain, and heart with the camera because the translation of the real through that little lens is the kind of
Mm,
strengthening your cinematographic muscles,
mm-hmm.
and it also coalesces it with your heart, and that's the most important thing, knowing that you're an artist
Mm-hmm.
and using the camera not flagrantly, not for cinematic effect
Mm,
or bombast, but telling, using the camera as a pen or as an art like as a writer would a pen. It's
mm-hmm.
as potent a tool. So it's like respecting the art form and saying, I'm an artist. I would say to young people, believe that you're an artist, know that cinema is art, and have faith in your own artistic vision, and depict that through your camera, and then you'll love cinema forever, and you'll develop your way of seeing.
So nice to interview you, Seamus.
And you, it's lovely to meet you, Ian.
It's so nice to meet you and get to talk about. I'm such a film geek, so it's so nice to sort of hear about the process and everything. Like for me, I think something that I like to do is I think it's because I like films so much. I try not to get too much into the technique of it because I feel like the minute I sort of get into the technique, I won't appreciate it for what it is. But it's always so nice to
Yeah,
hear like people who are passionate about it and like make it, and it's so I just love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's so nice.
it's great. We're so lucky. We're so lucky.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Seamus. Yeah.
Thank you, Ian. It's lovely to be here and meet you, and good luck with
Thank
your
you.
own films. And speak to you soon.
Thank you.